Welcome to the Christmas edition of Second City Sports Zoom Style.
Zoom Style.
Along with Lakeena McGee and Lamont Scott, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
And you can catch this podcast, Second City Sports, along with the other podcast programming from War Media by first going to our website at weareregalradio.com. That's WEAREREGAL radio.com. And wherever you download your podcasts, including the iHeartRadio app, make sure you search for War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. Make sure you type that in your search engine boxes wherever you download your podcast. And we're also on YouTube, a.k.a. the Tube, at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. You can not only listen to us, but watch us do our thing live. Look alive!
Here we go. All right, make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Get those likes up.
That's right. Get them up, get them up, get them up. And now we'll start with our Week 15 action from the NFL, starting with our local team, the Chicago Bears. They keep their slim playoff hopes alive by defeating the Minnesota Vikings by the score of 33-27. The Bears stand at 7-7 with 2 games left to go, while the Vikings drop their record to 6-8. My quick analysis from yesterday's game. No! Here's why. Mitchell Trubisky is playing like a comparable quarterback. David Montgomery, who we'll break down the performance in just a minute, he actually looked like a running back. 3, we actually have an offensive coordinator named Bill Lazor. And some of y'all on Twitter think that he should be the next head coach. We'll get into that in a minute. And number 4, the defense, even though they're not carrying you anymore, they actually played complimentary football yesterday, even though they missed some key guys. As of right now, as of this recording, and we talked about this for the last several weeks, and you brought this up, Lamont, on a couple of episodes back. The McCaskies are going to be left off the hook should the Bears find their way somehow to make it into these playoffs in 2020. I think I speak for a lot of Bears fans. The McCaskies will escape with little to no scars again should this Bears team make the playoffs. Every time you turn, you got to laugh to keep them crying.
Yes.
Go ahead, Lamont.
Yes. That was a good face you made, Sid. That was a good thing because because now what? I mean, you look at to some of us our worst nightmares have come true. But Mitch Trubisky has been playing like a quarterback, which leads you to wonder, has he been able to be a quarterback the whole time, and has Matt Nagy been the problem? Not allowing Bill Lazor to call plays. You look at it's been 3 weeks now that Bill Lazor been calling plays. And
it's been 4. It started with I believe it started with the Packers game and then went to the Detroit game, Houston, and of course with the Minnesota on Sunday.
But we've been over 20 points in every game, and Mr. Trubisky is playing like a quarterback because he's doing a couple of things like moving him, letting him do what he can do that's comfortable. And like you say, we'll break down the statistics in a minute. But that has just, even if they don't make the playoffs at this point, and I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, if they beat Green Bay, it's sealed in stone. They're not going anywhere. But that opens up another question. What, do we just run it back with everything we got and allow Lazor to run the whole offensive show next year and just allow Matt Nagy to be a figurehead and go from that point on? Because I'm happy with the way they've been putting up points and not putting Mitch in positions that he can't handle. And I think that's what's been happening. He's being put in conditions that he can't handle by Matt Nagy. And I don't think Bill putting him in them type of positions. So, yeah, I mean, that was a win. That was a team win almost. Even that was almost a complete team win. The team won yesterday. I don't know if the city won, but the team won.
You bring up an interesting point, Lamont. It lets, first of all, with Bill Lazor, the new offensive coordinator, and calling plays, it clearly shows, we didn't have to see this at this point, but it clearly shows now that Matt Nagy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And with the way that Mitch is playing right now, he could command money, not top dollar, obviously, because of the way he's been inconsistent here. But if you're Mitchell Trubisky, of course, if the Bears should bring you back next year, would you really trust Matt Nagy to be your head coach next year? And number two, can you guarantee me? I'm Mitch Trubisky, of course. If you're Mitch Trubisky, can you guarantee me that Bill Lazor is your offensive coordinator next year? If you can, maybe I'll come back for a year or two. If not, I'm out of here. Because let's be honest here, Trubisky is playing for his NFL future. We said this a few weeks ago. The question is, will it be with the Matt Nagy / Bill Lazor regime on the offensive side, or will he be a backup somewhere else? And I'm not going to say I'm afraid, but if Trubisky goes on to succeed somewhere else, if you're a Bears fan, you should be frustrated because Trubisky, like you mentioned, Lamont, all season long, has been coaching all year long. Yes, Trubisky definitely has some deficiencies, and that's on him. But Matt Nagy has not fixed this offense, and I think both parties deserve blame to go around. But I think if you put a big percentage on it, it's more of Matt Nagy first. Like you always say, Lamont, coach your team and not your scheme. Yeah. You got to coach what skill sets Trubisky has, what he loves to do best, and that's roll out the pocket. What have we seen the last few weeks, Lamont, from Trubisky? Let's be honest here. Trubisky's been rolling out the pocket, throwing on the run. He's been running a whole lot more too. Now I don't want to see him run like Michael Vick, look at 1 or 2 receivers and take off running right away. I don't want to see him do that. But he's been more smart with the football. You have to give Bill Lazor the credit for that. Now, I just don't know that if this same success will repeat itself next year if you bring the whole crew back. But we'll worry about next year. But Trubisky right now, as of right now, whether it's with the Bears or somewhere else, he's going to stay in the NFL.
But see, let me ask you a quick question. Can the Bears franchise tag him?
I don't know if they can. I don't think they can because they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, as we all know. I don't think they can franchise tag him. I don't think so. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think so. I don't think franchise Allen Robinson. We'll get to him later, but I don't think they can do that to Trubisky.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. Had to step out for a second, but I'm sure Lamont and Sid probably have already sort of referred to this a couple of times, but look, okay, this is the 3rd game in a row that the Bears have scored more than 30 points. Okay, fine. David Montgomery got another 100 yards, over 100 yards again. Okay, fine. But, here's the thing. Eric Kendricks, who was the Vikings' top rusher, pass rusher, he wasn't there. So they were able to, that hole was there for Montgomery to go through, and he was able to kind of contain him in their first meeting back in week 10. Okay, fine. You proved that, okay, you're better than the Texans, you're right at the same level as the Vikings. It's fool's gold. You didn't really show anything. Okay, fine. And if you're a Bears fan, yes, you're freaking out right now because great, they're probably going to be either 9-7 or 8-8, and everybody's going to come back, and we'll have to do this process all over again. So, I don't know how you guys feel. I missed it, but I just feel as though at this point, I'm just like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. They're not going to make them. I know they're not going to make the playoffs. Somehow, I think they're going to stumble a bit in these next 2 games. I don't know which 2, but I think they're going to stumble. But I'm at that point where I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Meh. Okay, fine. Yeah. You prove, okay, where was this, for this, during that 6-game losing streak where you were actually playing good teams? Sorry. Fool's gold.
But Lakeena, like I said a second ago, and you can finish, only one game matters. That Packer game. If we win that Packer game, all of this is out the window. Everything's going to stay. And that Packer game is important because that game might put us in the playoffs. So if they don't stumble against Jacksonville, which the way the offense has been playing the last 3 weeks, might be hard to do. Because I don't think Jacksonville offense can beat our defense, even if our defense not playing up to par that day.
I mean, God, I mean, look, the NFL, look, we saw what happened. We'll talk about the Jets game against the Rams in a second. I think it shows you, it shows you that anything can happen. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but if somehow the Bears lose to Jacksonville, then you know what? We're all going to be doing this again next week. So I'm at this point, I'm sort of like, you know what? Okay, fine. You proved that, like I said, you proved that you're better than the Texans. You're right on par with the Vikings, who were shorthanded. Look, if Kyle Rudolph was there, he would have made that catch from Kirk Cousins at the last second. I'm already like going on record saying that he would have. So I'm not like, okay, so where was this Trubisky, the few games he was playing before he got hurt and was sad? Or where was, and let's remember too, the defense is getting up a lot of points too. So we're kind of doing a reversal, like Twilight Zone here. It's the defense that's not looking too good, and now the offense looks good. So, you're damned if you, damned if you don't. It's sort of par for the course, I guess.
You're listening to Second City Sports along with Lakeena McGee and Lamont Scott. I am Sidney Brown as we review the Bears' 33-27 victory over the Minnesota Vikings in Week 15. Taking a look inside the numbers for the Chicago Bears for their second victory in a row, which evens their record up at 7-7. Take a look at the numbers from the Vikings game. Mitchell Trubisky was 15 of 21 for 202 yards, a touchdown and an interception with a quarterback rating of 97.7. That is correct. As far as the running game is concerned, Cordell Patterson got his occasional run carry for 3 yards. David Montgomery, as Lakeena mentioned a second ago, 32 carries, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Clearly his best game of the season, his best game of his career. And Allen Robinson for the Bears had 4 catches for 83 yards. His longest was a 35-yard reception. And also breaking down the numbers for receiving rights, Cole Kmet, 2 catches for 12 yards. Jimmy Graham, 2 catches for 25 yards. The tight ends got involved a little bit, but not as much as I personally would have liked, but you take it what you can get. Darnell Mooney showed up again yesterday. He had a touchdown in that first quarter, 4 catches for 49 yards. So like you guys have been talking about these last couple of minutes, this Bears offense looks good. You had to give Bill Lazor the credit for it. My concern is, will that continue with these next 2 games? As you mentioned, Lakeena, Jacksonville, it should be in a walk in the park, but the way the Bears have been playing this season, especially during that 6-game losing streak, you cannot afford to overlook nobody.
Ask the Rams.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a minute.
Well, I got a lot to say about this one. About that one. But yeah, I mean, look, okay, you look, like I said, you look good, fine, but you've been inconsistent. Can both the offense and defense play good at the same time in the same game? That would be nice. We can't have or the special teams, can they all be cohesive? I mean, can we have one not show up and another one have to save the other and vice versa? It's not going to work. Even in this sort of COVID, season of the NFL, I guess you can call it, you can't really do that, especially in the playoffs. You're talking about, we're sneaking into the playoffs. Okay, fine. You can't do it against if you have to play Washington or maybe Philadelphia. You can't afford to do that. So,
or Seattle.
Exactly. Seattle too. You may have to go at Seattle too. So,
yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why I wouldn't want to go to the playoffs if I had a choice, because I don't think we're a playoff team. But the way things are stacking up, we could make the playoffs and possibly beat somebody. I mean, even if we went to Philadelphia, I will not get to that Philly game later. But even when we get to Philadelphia, we might can beat Philadelphia the way we see. I can't. I'm throwing out the first half of the season. I'm throwing out those 6 losing games, and I'm gonna just go with what we got left. And Lakeena, it's possible that both could show up for these last 2 games.
You have to jump over a couple of teams though too.
Yeah, we need a few losses.
Yeah. So that's still a lot. And
and it's not so much as trying to get them to the playoffs. I mean, but even if we get those 2 games as complete games from the complete team, I really don't think much going to change. I think we're going to make a couple of, we're going to probably drop Cordell Patterson and let Darnell Mooney do his job and use them both ways, another receiver, and get another running back and maybe fill up a hole on defense, and they probably going to just run it right back. And I had asked Sid while you had stepped away, can we franchise tag Mitch Trubisky? And if so, since everybody's job might be over next year anyway, if possible, they could do that, or they may even bring him back as a 1-year deal just to see what he can do after denying his 5th year in the first place.
I think it all depends on what they decide to do. I mean, I don't think they can franchise Mitch. If you're Allen Robinson, you don't want to get franchise tagged either, because I think, look,
exactly.
He already scrubbed his Twitter account of all things Bears, so he's trying to get out of there. So they may try to franchise A-Rob. He may not be happy about that. Do you invest $20 million to see if you get this Mitch next year consistently? I don't know. And look, you don't know what else is going to happen. So at this point, it's hard to say.
But what if that Mitch has been there all the time and Matt Nagy just held him back?
What's been his excuse the last 4 years then, if that's the case? We should have been seeing this. We can't say that after a couple of games, oh well, Mitch is really the guy. No, you can't really do that. So
you can't say he the guy. No one's saying he the guy. I'm just saying, what if he was held back and his progression level was slowed down by Matt Nagy?
Like I said, it's you can't really make that kind of distinction though. I mean, what was his excuse during those previous years then, when he had different coaches? So look, I've said it before. I think they should have taken Deshaun Watson or Pat Mahomes. I'm gonna stand by that. I'm gonna stand by that. So he's not the guy. Look, let him go somewhere else. Maybe in a better system and a better coaching, then he'll probably excel. Right now, he's not the answer for the Bears. I'm sorry.
And speaking of that defense, we talked about this when you stepped away, Lakeena, that the Bears defense, of course, they weren't looking like they were early in the season, but they did just enough to beat the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. Of course, taking a look at the statistics, it was nice for Khalil Mack to get a half a sack. It was nice to see Robert Quinn get a sack. Brent Urban chipped in with a half a sack as well. 3 quarterback hits from Bilal Nichols, their nose tackle. So the Bears defense were very aggressive yesterday, but their secondary, it was a little bit shaky. Of course, rookie Jalen Johnson, he missed the game because of injuries. Sherrick McManus, their special teams guru, he actually had the big interception at the end of the game to seal the win for the Chicago Bears. I'm not so much mad at the defense. Like I said, they did what they had to do to win, but it's been nice for this offense to carry this squad, which has been the total opposite for the entire season up until the Packer game.
Oh, it's nice to see Robert Quinn actually play a full game. Yay!
You're right.
Woohoo! Yay, Robert Quinn! Woohoo! I'm 39 now. I'm letting it rip here. Look, the defense did enough to win. I mean, you can tell Jalen Johnson, him not being there with this, the secondary, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, they kind of had their way for a little bit with some of their rookies. So, you kind of tell that him not being there, it was glaring. I mean, look, Dane Trevathan, still got it. He, made some big plays. So, I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, I just need more consistent. That's all. I mean, I know, some people may be saying I'm being nitpicky here, but this is what it is.
You're not nitpicking. You just want to see it, and we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it, and you want to see it, and we pay enough to see it. And I feel your pain completely. I feel your pain on both levels, the defense and on the Mitch level. We have not seen it, but saying I don't see nothing in our future, it looked like we're gonna see a lot more of it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be interesting though these next couple of games.
We just want to see if the Bears could be consistent from here on out, because like you guys have been saying, these last few minutes. That Jacksonville game on paper looks like a slam dunk. We'll pick this coming week's games later on in the show, but it looks like a win on paper. But the way that the Bears have been playing, especially these last few weeks, you cannot afford to overlook anybody. So, and like we've been saying, as we'll break down the rest of the NFL from Week 15 from Sunday in just a second, this is the time. These last 3 weeks. Every season, we see it every year that a team that's not supposed to win, they win. They alter the course of a playoff team, a team that's trying to get into playoffs, or they affect seeding. Let me remind you folks of something. The Miami Dolphins of last year, Tom Brady and crew of New England, they were supposed to get the number 2 seed. Guess what happened? They lost their regular season home finale to the Dolphins. They got them to play on wild card weekend. Look what the Tennessee Titans did. They knocked them out of the playoffs and not Brady into Tampa Bay. So this type of thing happens every year, folks.
That loss happened already this year. See, it happened this week.
Yeah, we'll get to that too in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, look, Jacksonville. If you look through their games, with the exception of yesterday's game against the Ravens, we all knew that was they're not gonna play well against the Ravens. But they played a lot of teams close. They played Green Bay close. They played Minnesota very close. They played Cleveland very close. So there's the talent's there. Maybe, in various forms. So maybe a different coaching, maybe a different regime. I don't know. Look, Gardner Minshew is out there. The Visca Chenault is actually one of their top wide receivers. Cam Robinson is a name that's familiar to a lot of people, on the O-line. So, look, I mean, like I said, like we were saying, like on paper, this should be a blowout. So, look, Miles Jack's still around. He's one of their linebackers. So, look, on paper, yeah, this looks like a slam dunk, but they've played a lot of teams close. And so I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but don't be surprised if somehow the Bears lay an egg here.
There ain't no slam dunks, though. I don't really believe in slam dunks when it comes to the Bears. Look at who our quarterback is. So we could never have a slam dunk. We might get a layup, but we'll never get a dunk. He can't jump that high.
Dang.
And speaking of slam dunking, first of all, we're Second City Sports. We take it to the hole and throw it down like Sean Kemp style. So let's go to Week 15 action. We had a couple of games this past Saturday, and we had the rest of the action from Sunday. I want to go to the Saturday games first, guys. Of course, you had the Bills winning the AFC East, defeating the Broncos 48-19. And you had the Packers, who's still trying to get the number 1 seed. They defeated the Panthers 24-16. The only thing I took away from these two games from last Saturday, both these teams are Super Bowl contenders, no doubt, but more from Buffalo. They're a more well-balanced team. And if you guys listen to the NFL preview shows back in September, I picked the Bills to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. We all thought they would have some type of trouble going to that mile-high altitude climate in Denver, but they went in there and dominated, and they did what they had to do.
First time since '95, the Bills have won the AFC East. Sid and I were not in high school yet. Lamont was probably just barely out of high school, or he's probably still in high school.
In '95.
Yeah. So I mean, look, Josh Allen. Look, I think he's making a final push for MVP. I mean, had 2 rushing touchdowns. No interceptions. Threw for 359 yards. I mean, we all thought that maybe the altitude would probably get to him and the Bills a little bit. No, they look really good. Stephon Diggs. Thank goodness that knee injury is not serious. So. That's good. If you're a Bills fan, you should be breathing a little sigh of relief. And also Cole Beasley, both over 100 yards. Oh yes,
Lamont's guy.
Yeah, that's Lamont's guy. So
yes.
The defense, Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, 8 tackles. Jordan Poyer did his thing too. Mario Addison. I mean that's a very balanced team. And should it get to the point where they play the Chiefs, in the AFC in the playoffs? Who knows?
You know what I took from them 2 games? Both teams with comparable quarterbacks won. Back to our risky situation. You look at the quarterbacks who they got out there. You got 2 MVP candidates that won games. You got, Rodgers, you got Allen. And then I think like Stephon Diggs going to Buffalo made all the difference in the world. Giving him somebody to throw the ball to that was true and top notch made a great difference. So Buffalo gonna be hard to beat. And I wonder if Buffalo played anywhere other than Buffalo would people know them. If they was like in LA or New York, so to speak, they're in New York, but they're not in New York, they're kind of Canada. But if Buffalo in a major market, I think Allen would be getting a lot more attention and a lot more votes, and people would know who they are. And even that defense, people would know who their players is on that defense. See, they're one of those teams that might send 5 people to the Pro Bowl, and you'd be like, who made the Pro Bowl? But they would be coming from Buffalo because they got a bunch of good pieces.
Taking a look at the rest of the Week 15 action, let's focus on last Sunday's games. We'll start with the one in Atlanta, the Falcons. They blow another big lead, this time to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 31-27. Tom Brady, 31-45 for 390 yards and 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette had 2 big rushing touchdowns in that second half. Calvin Ridley was the only player that showed up for the Atlanta Falcons. He had 10 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. I did watch the majority of this game via my computer, and that first half was a nightmare for Tampa Bay. And I actually watched the NFL on Fox halftime report from that game, and both Michael Strahan and Tony Gonzalez said this: where was the sense of urgency for Tampa Bay? They were really caught off guard. They had to get a jump start somehow, and they did in the second half. And Tom Brady was missing guys in that first half. It was definitely some miscommunication there, but whatever happened in that locker room with Bruce Arians, the head coach, and Tom Brady, whatever happened, they turned it around in that second half. Even when Atlanta scored their only touchdown in the second half after that Leonard Fournette touchdown to start the third quarter, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers put their pedal to the metal, and they could have folded the 10, but they just decided to respond like the team they were supposed to be all year.
I think these slow starts ain't unusual for Tampa Bay. That's how they start off slow. They just happen to run against a team that can't hold teams off. And I think that's the only reason they won yesterday. Even though Brady set a record pretty much with the most passing yards in the second half or something like that. But I think they just happened to get the right team, and it allowed them to make that type of a comeback, because Tampa Bay starts slow because they're still missing some pieces and they relied on fear. I think if you go in there and you play them and you're not scared of the names that they're throwing at you, and what if he throw to Mike? What if he throw to Antonio? What if he throw to Gronk? If you go in there not scared, and you can hit him in the head. And I think what happens, you just got to hold off that second half adjustment that they make. Like you mentioned, Bruce Arians probably cussed them out. And you got to hold off that second half adjustment. And yesterday, the team that was supposed to hold them off ain't held off nobody all year. So I would like to see them try that. That's why I think they've been upset after the game so much. I would like to see them try that against really any other team that's in playoff contention. Because remember, they couldn't do it against us. And our defense show up when they want to.
That's true. I mean, look, I saw a little bit of that game too, and I'm like, I'm not worried about the Bucs. They'll get to Atlanta, and sure enough, they did. Pardon me. So, look, I'm sure both Arians and Brady, I'm sure they both cussed the team out, and they were sort of kicking it into gear. You feel good for Antonio Brown, who scored the go-ahead touchdown. Excuse me,
yeah.
but you know what though? Try doing that in the playoffs. They're not going to be able to do that if they end up playing a Seattle. If they end up playing, maybe Washington. I mean, try that against one of those teams. You're not going to be able to get out of that hole. So,
yeah.
For the first time since 2008 and for the second time in 20 years, the New England Patriots will not participate in the playoffs. You ask why? Here's why they dropped to 6-8 after another loss, this time to their division rival Miami Dolphins, 22-12. The Dolphins improved to 9-5, and they're on the doorstep of clinching one of those 3 AFC wildcard spots. Cam Newton, or some people call Scam Newton, 17 of 27, 209 yards. Saad Von Ahmed, the running back for the Miami Dolphins, he had 23 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown. And Jacoby Myers was only a few breakout stars for the Patriots this year. He had 7 catches for 111 yards. I did watch some of this game live via my computer. As you mentioned, Lakeena, all year with some of these games, it was an ugly 9-6, 12-7 type games. This is the style that New England likes, to be honest with you. The Miami Dolphins held them off. Xavier Howard had another great turnover interception again on Sunday. That Miami defense is for real. Tua Tagovailoa, after a bad start, he scored a touchdown late to help seal that win for the Dolphins. Call me crazy. I'm not saying they're Super Bowl contenders yet. Give head coach Brian Flores credit, but I would not want to play them in the first round. These are the type of teams that can scare you and sneak out with a win in the playoffs.
Yeah, but the Patriots, they make the playoffs, but don't try to blame that on Cam. Patriots kind of suck. They depth chart weak. They have no team.
That starts with your head coach Bill Belichick or Belichick.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't feel bad for him in any way. Y'all in BS the system for 20 years, man. Come on. I'm okay with them with how did he put it? The crows coming home to roost, as they say. I'm okay with all of that, man. But don't try to blame it on Cam, man. Cam ain't got nobody to throw to, hand to, and the defense said we're not playing this year. I mean, they where they supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cam's not to blame here. Yes, Cam, had a couple of fumbles and was sacked 3 times, but don't blame him. He's not the reason, not the main reason. I mean, they have no defense this year, as Lamont just said. A lot of their top guys opted out. Stephon Gilmore will sit out the rest of the season too.
He got hurt on Sunday. That was bad.
Yeah, but he avoided major injury though. But if you're him, you're like, you know what, I'll sit out the rest of the year. He was the only named guy on their defense that actually played this year. I mean, look, the Dolphins look really good. I mean, Ahmed, like you said, Sid, have over 122 yards. I really like his style of running. I mean, look, will they make the playoffs? Look, they got a tough schedule. Their last couple of games, so they got to go on the road both these next 2 weeks against the Raiders and the Bills. So we'll see where the Bills are at that point. They may sit some guys. But we had Spiro Diaz on a few months ago, and he was called a lot of those games, for the Dolphins last season. He said the foundation is there, and Brian Flores, has set that foundation, and they look really good so far. So I mean, they could probably contend for the AFC East next season if they can make some more moves.
I believe they can. Let's take a look at another early game from Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks defeated the Washington football team 20-15. This was an ugly game to start. I did watch some of this game via my computer. The Seahawks, they did enough to win. As we picked our games in our last podcast, Lakeena, over the weekend, I said that the Washington could keep it close, but Seattle will do enough to win. Seattle has lost only 2 games on the East Coast since 2017. Chris Carson had a big game for Seattle, 15 carries, 63 yards, but it was Carlos Hyde's big run, 50-yard touchdown run to start the second half for the Seahawks, and he carried the Seahawks offense to start that second half. Seattle got out of D.C. with an important win.
Yeah, I mean, that defense, man, when Washington get them a quarterback, and they may come from the Eastern, may come from their own division next year. So when they get them a quarterback, Washington gonna be something to deal with, man. No one wants to play Washington. No one wants to play Washington. Seattle escaped, but no one wants to play them. And I look forward to see where Washington gonna go. They one of the exciting teams. I hope they get a name. I don't like calling them the Washington football team. I still got a Redskins hoodie and hat. And I said it proudly. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Oh my gosh. Dwayne Haskins had 2 interceptions. I mean, it's sort of one of those things where if you're a Washington fan, you're probably saying to yourself, crap, if Alex Smith had, wasn't banged up, they probably would have, pulled off the upset, probably would have won that game. But look, Seattle did just enough to win. These sort of slug it out games are sort of their style still. So, look, I know I picked Washington, but I knew it was going to be close. So, Seattle clinched the playoff berth once again and could very well end up, clinching the NFC West.
Okay, and your awareness from the early games from Sunday were Baltimore, the Colts, and the Titans in a high-scoring affair, defeating the Detroit Lions 46-25. Now let's get to the late games. Let's review a couple of them. Let's start off with those Los Angeles Rams, Lakeena. They lost to the now 1-13 New York Jets, 23-20 in LA. Jared Goff, 22 of 34 for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cam Akers had 15 carries for 63 yards for the Rams. Tyler Higbee had 67 yards on 4 receptions and a touchdown. Robert Woods, their wide receiver, had a rushing touchdown as well. But the New York Jets, their defense set the tone from the word go. And let's be honest here, the Rams took the Jets lightly. The Rams tried to get back into the game late, but they got caught with their pants down.
Both literally and figuratively, apparently.
Yes.
I mean, look, they got caught. Look, like you said, they got caught looking ahead. They play Seattle next on this coming Sunday. I mean,
that's going to be for the NFC West division title.
Oh, no doubt. And they probably got caught looking ahead. And look, Sean McVay, to his credit, admitted, say, yeah, my guys, they kind of took the Jets lightly. So if you're a Jets fan, you're probably not very happy because, now Jacksonville's got the tie right now, has the tie break right now. So, for the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. But when we do our picks later on, I expect the Rams defense, especially Aaron Donald, will not be in a very good mood. Again, we'll get to them in a second. So, this is one of those games where you're going to look back and say, okay, how the heck did we do that? So, look, the only thing you can do if you're a Rams fan, if you're the Rams, just burn the tape and, press on to your next 2 games. You got 2 divisional games, these last 2 weeks. So try to win them and try to not only clinch the playoff spot, but clinch the division.
Like you said, Lakeena, not even burn the tape. Just treat it like everything else in 2020 that's bad. Blame it on COVID. and just let it go. And like you say, prepare for them next 2 games because it's obvious somebody didn't wake up on the right side of the bed and pay attention. So it happens, and it should.
If you're a New York Jets fan, you have to be torn in 2 places. Yes, I'm sure you're happy that your team has finally won a game, but you want Trevor Lawrence, as you mentioned, Lakeena. Jacksonville owns the tiebreaker. Now I was listening to some New York sports radio this morning before we started recording today. Actually, it was the Jets flagship station. I don't know if we can free advertise here, but you can guys go Google it yourselves who the Jets flagship station is in New York City. But I listened to this host, and this host was saying that he's a Jets fan, but you probably screwed up your chances of getting a high-profile coach, assuming that you don't draft Trevor Lawrence. And a couple of callers that I heard on this particular show, they were very angry. Now, does it represent all Jets fans? Probably not, but I'm sure these 2 callers that I listened to, they represent a lot of Jets fans for them winning on Sunday against the Rams. We're probably not going to get Trevor Lawrence. You still need to fix the team, but the hope for I'm not going to say a quick turnaround, but turnaround sooner rather than later is probably now gone as of this moment.
Yeah, they what they could probably do if they end up losing it, or even winning it. They might want to look at moving it. If they lose it, they might want to move their second pick and try to get more players. But Jacksonville has put themselves in a position to beat the Bears. That's all that's going to happen. Jacksonville going to beat the Bears, and the New York Jets will be happy again, and all of them will be happy.
Oh, my gosh.
No!
Oh, yeah. If you're a Bears fan, yes, that's what you want.
Speaking of stellar quarterbacks, the Arizona Cardinals have a one-game lead over the Chicago Bears after defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 33-26. The Cardinals are now 8-6, while Philadelphia drops their record to 4-9. This was a very good game to watch, Lakeena. I did watch this game in its entirety via my computer. Kyler Murray, after struggling early, came up big in the late stages, 27-36 for 406 yards and 3 touchdown passes. DeAndre Hopkins, if you're a Houston Texans fans, you should be angry for now ex-head coach and ex-GM Bill O'Brien getting rid of him in the offseason. He had another big game yesterday, 9 receptions for 169 yards and a touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald had a phenomenal catch to start the game for the Cardinals for their first touchdown. It was tremendous. Arizona had to hold on at the end, but on the flip side, Jalen Hurts, he looked good once again. If you're Carson Wentz, even though you signed that contract before the start of last season, your days in Philadelphia are pretty much numbered.
I watched a little bit of that game too. Oh, sorry, Lamont, but I watched a little bit of that game too, Sid. I mean, look, both Murray and Hopkins overcame like early mistakes, early fumbles that they bounced back, and 169 receiving yards for Hopkins, caught a touchdown pass. They kept the chains moving. It was actually Arizona's defense, I think, was, keep getting more impressive. Dennis Gedrick had two more sacks. Hassan Reddick had another sack too. So their defense is playing better. And Mike Nugent actually made, field goals. Yay! Look, Zane Gonzalez is hurt. I think I'm using air quotes because I don't think that's the case. That might be, Cliff Kingsbury's a little, creative that way. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, invented the injury. But look, Jalen Hurts looked really good too. I mean, if he can kind of get, more guys around him besides Alshon Jeffrey, I think, look, there are already reports that maybe Carson Wentz isn't very happy that he's sitting, but, we'll see what happens.
And Carson Wentz say he don't want to be a backup. I'm not a backup. I'm a superstar. But that game in general, and I was watching it with a couple of people, I think it's starting to show the changing of the guard a little bit in the NFL. I mean, you look who went against each other. You had Kyler against Jalen. And if you look around the league, I think the number, what we got, 32 out of the 32 games, I think we had about 10 quarterbacks that were of minority. And you look at the way the league is moving, and you look at our Chicago Bears, we wasn't one of those teams that started one of those quarterbacks, by the way, but maybe is moving towards a quarterback like a Jalen Hurts that sees, and it's not there, so he take off, or a la Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson. All of these names are people that could have been in Chicago. So when I look at that, it makes me wonder what type of future we have in Chicago, saying we don't have a quarterback on our radar nowhere unless we're going to bring in the great Carson Wentz, since it looks like he may be on the move. So looking at all of that, that's kind of the conclusion I came to. Like, will we take on that contract and believe in Carson Wentz, especially with he might know Matt Nagy if we keep Matt Nagy. So it remains to be seen. But yeah, that was an interesting game. And the people in Houston should be still upset about losing. Why they couldn't trade him to the Bears? We would have gave him the whole running back staff. You could have had Montgomery and Patterson for Hopkins. We was giving you more and a pick probably, but they didn't send him here. But yeah, I'm glad that he's showing everybody that he still was one of the top receivers in the game. And I think he crack 100 yards every game. I haven't checked his statistics, but every time he run on the field, it's like he cracking 100 yards. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad, man. But overall, yeah, I think it's gonna be some changes happening in the NFL when it comes to that position.
You're listening to Second City Sports along with Lamont Scott and Lakeena McGee. I am Cindy Brown as we continue to talk NFL and break down the key games from Week 15. Before we get to our studs and duds, let's break down this last game. Speaking of stellar quarterbacks, Lamont, the Kansas City Chiefs hold on to beat the New Orleans Saints 32-29. Patrick Mahomes for Kansas City, 254 yards passing and 3 touchdown passes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire before his ugly injury. Thank goodness is only a high ankle sprain. We all thought it was much worse. Thank goodness it's not. He had 14 carries for 79 yards. Tyreek Hill had a big game as well. Lakeena, I'll start with you. Even though Kansas City is not as dominant as they were a year ago, do you still think they're the team to be in the AFC?
I think they're one of. I think Buffalo is kind of right there on par with them now. Look, this is sort of one
I think so too.
I think there's kind of like this was back, not back and forth, but there's sort of like, the Saints made it interesting, later on, but, you can tell them not having Mike Thomas, that played a huge factor there. And, it was Breeze's first game back, you could tell he was still a little bit off. It'll probably take him a game or two. But look, Patrick Mahomes, he's showing you why he's the reigning MVP, and thankfully, Hilaire's injury is not serious. Praise the Lord. I mean, Travis Kelce did his thing. Tyreek Hill did his thing. I mean, the defense did just enough to slow the Saints down, and I think are the Chiefs the team to beat? I think they're one of. I don't think they're the team to beat right this second. If you ask me, I would pick Buffalo. I'll be honest.
Well, whoever you pick, Lakeena, that's who they're going to be playing in the Super Bowl, because the Saints are the team to beat. And the Saints, could have beat them. Almost should have beat them. It was a few questionable situations in there. And when we get to our studs and duds, I'm going to bring up another gentleman's name. But at the same time, the Saints are the team to beat in the NFC. And that could be your Super Bowl matchup right there if they can get past your Buffalo Bills, because I don't think no one's respecting Buffalo like they should. And I think Buffalo's defense has what it takes to knock Kansas City out of that top spot if need be, because Pittsburgh looked like they went on vacation and they haven't come back yet. But when they come back, they'll have a fight. They'll be in the fight when they come back, some type of a fight. But yeah, Buffalo can't pull that off, because I think they're physical enough, and Allen got enough arm to make it happen.
I didn't get a chance to catch the entire broadcast, Lamont. I know Tony. We always joke with you about Dick Stockton, but how did you like Tony Romo's commentary from Sunday? Because we all know that he's on that Patrick Mahomes bandwagon, rightfully so.
Tony Romo, that's his man crush. Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Tony Romo did every play, look at how he tossed that. Look, he threw that ball quicker than any other quarterback. I'm like, my man, he good. The only good comment he made all day to me, I mean, he's great. I love him. I love to listen to him just to learn from him. But when he said the Saints are fast enough to keep up with the Chiefs, and that was smart. Because they aren't when they're all there and when they're playing with their heads in the game, and they're all there to do that. So, yeah, I think we might have was looking at our Super Bowl matchup, and I love to hear, what people have to say about that and what they think about that, because, the Chiefs got away again.
Yeah, CBS will have the Super Bowl this year from Tampa, so you'll get Romo and Nance.
Yeah.
All right, Lakeena. Studs and duds from Week 15. We'll start with you.
Oh, well, I already told you guys my first studs, the Buffalo Bills. Their first AFC East division title since '95. Like I said before, they're balanced, all around on offense and defense. Especially, he's actually pretty good too. So I think they're right there with KC as a team to beat in the AFC overall. Of course, the Tennessee Titans in particular, once again, Mr. Derrick Henry, another 147 yards rushing, another touchdown. I mean, scored 46 points. They actually lead the league in points overall, the Titans do. I don't think a lot of people know that, but that's true. I mean, they do lead the league. I mean, they're one step closer to the clinching the playoffs. And one more, I mean, Arizona. I mean, you know what? Not even Arizona. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to pick the Jets. The Jets, you know what? They've been, they've been close a couple of times. And look, Sam Darnold didn't make any mistakes. Frank Gore, the ageless wonder, had a touchdown, between him and Larry Fitzgerald, and they're the same. They're both the same age, so you see them still playing and still playing at a high level. So, those are my studs.
Lakeena, great minds think alike, because I definitely had chose to congratulate, Buffalo, and I definitely chose the New York Jets for finally getting it done and showing you that. They not on 16 team, and they had got the second one. Mm-hmm. And the third one, I gave it to Jalen Hurts, because they said he couldn't do it twice, and he has. And if he do it 3 times, that may solidify Mr. Wentz's future in Philadelphia. So I'm looking forward to see, is the third time a charm or is it a curse? So Jalen Hurts / Kyler Murray had, just to see them 2 battle was great. And if you throwing like some bonus stuff in, that wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings,
Justin Jefferson,
who went passed over for about a couple of teams, they may live to regret that.
My bonus stud is Josh Allen, the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. You guys mentioned it before, so that's my bonus stud. My 3 studs are Tom Brady from Tampa Bay, 390 yards and 2 touchdown passes, and they win over Atlanta. My second stud is Salvon Ahmed, the running back from Miami. He had 122 yards and a touchdown. And David Montgomery, yes, I think it's the first time I've given a Chicago Bear a stud all season long. David Montgomery, the running back from the Bears, 32 carries, 146 yards, and 2 big touchdown runs. His best game, clearly, of the season, his best game, personally, of his career. So those are my 3 studs.
I'll give him a golf clap too. I mean, look, I rag on the Bears a lot, but I told people, I said, look, they got a really good guy here with David Montgomery. I mean, if you know his story, his backstory is fascinating. Look, he slept it out over at Iowa State. He's bringing that mentality to the Bears now. So good for him, and good for him.
Yeah.
All right. On the flip side, duds. Los Angeles Rams got caught, looking ahead to Seattle there next week, kids.
Agree.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation I can think of as to why, y'all looked ahead. Y'all should have beaten the Jets pretty handily. Just saying. Atlanta, no one blows big leads against Tom Brady like the Atlanta Falcons. Once again, look, I know Raheem Morris, he'll probably get, looked at for the job, but they really need to shore up that defense. They really do. I mean,
yes,
it just giving up all those big plays to Brady and them late. I don't know what else to say at this point. Well, you know what? I'll be my last dud. I mean, it's really hard to give another dud. I mean, you kind of expected some of this stuff. I mean, I guess I'll give myself the dud because I thought that San Francisco Dallas game would be terrible. It actually ended up being one of the more entertaining games of the slate.
Yeah.
So I'll give myself the dud for saying, and Sid knows this. You guys listen back to the Friday's podcast. I pretty much said this was going to be a dull game. It wasn't, Dallas pulled it out, a little Dalton, combo a couple of times, it meant nothing, but sort of goes back to back in the day when these games, between these 2 teams actually meant something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, San Francisco could not exercise the onside kick.
Oh gosh, yes. Ugh, that was terrible. Terrible.
Terrible. That's why they get the first dud of the day. Ain't no way San Francisco's supposed to lose. San Francisco, yes, you said it wasn't going to be entertaining. It was entertaining, but they still were supposed to beat Dallas, really. So they get the first one. The second one, Cam Jordan. You're a leader, brother. You one of the leaders on that. You are the leader on that defense. They needed you. They didn't need that. And not only that, you got to set an example for some of those young ones that's looking up to you, brother. And we love you to death. But, yes, you know better, and you shouldn't have. Even though it may have been some questionable situations happening beforehand that they was missing, and you might have had an attitude because they kept missing and they kept getting away with certain things. you still got to rise above and be better than that, bro. You got a lot of people that look up to you and believe in you, so we expect more out of you, sir.
He should know. He should know better. They should know better. It's just that simple. Yeah.
You know, and the last one, the New York Jets. I don't know how a team get a stud and a dud, but they get it from me this time.
Oh my God!
Ain't no way.
I think that'll be the first in history of this show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes. They get the stud and the dud. The dud because if it was a chance that I thought I was winning that game, I would have called a bad play. Just being honest with you, I would have sent, Larry Lujak replaced Hot Flyer Jackson over there, and we putting Jersey Joe Jackson at quarterback, and that's what we gonna do. And I would have rather taken the backlash of why did you make those calls than the backlash of what the H is wrong with you. And like you mentioned earlier, if you gonna take the chance on missing the quarterback and the coach, it ain't just like you missing the quarterback. You missing the quarterback and the coach if you don't get it right. Oh yeah, I would have sent my third round quarterback out of somebody state undrafted out there, the quarterback, and that second half or something. But I wouldn't have done everything I could to win the game. And you could say that's bad integrity, or no, I would have been coaching. I'm giving the young boys a shot. In the press.
Only have one dud for this week, and that's the New York Football Giants. Of course, we all picked Cleveland to win their Sunday night matchup, which they did comfortably, 20-6. But the New York Football Giants, they screwed up last week in putting in Daniel Jones. He clearly was not right in their loss against Arizona. And Colt McCoy was the starting quarterback. That Giants offense looked lifeless. I don't think they're going to win the NFC East now, and they sure as hell is not going to get a wild card spot. So you can throw dirt on them for 2020.
Oh yeah, totally. It's definitely between Washington and Philly now, I think, for that division.
Yeah. And if Jalen Hurts lead Philly to the division, oh, look what them papers gonna say in Philly. They're gonna get rid of the coach and the quarterback.
Oh my gosh. You listen to Second City Sports Zoom style along with Sydney Brown and Lamont Scott. I am Lakeena McGee. All right, still got a lot to do, folks. So where do you guys want to, venture off to next? Do you guys want to do our picks? Do you guys want to do a little college football championship Saturday?
Lamont, we'll leave it up to you, Lamont. You want to do our NFL picks to get them out the way, or switch to football, college?
Since we're in the NFL, we can stay with the NFL and we can run through the picks and get them out the way. That way we can fuss about the college football decisions that were made.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, let's do our picks then.
All right, so let me get them up here. You'd think I would have had them up already, but sorry, that's my bad.
Kenny, you don't have to mark me in as we go.
Okay. We're recording this, so you're on record, so no worries. All right, we got a Christmas matchup for you. This is actually pretty cool. It's going to be on Fox, NFL Network, and also streaming on Amazon Prime, for those of you who have Amazon Prime. The Vikings and the Saints. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Yes.
I'm going with the Saints.
You should go with the Saints, Sid, because you're going to get an angry Cam Jordan and a Drew Brees that people said wasn't ready. I don't think Minnesota going to be ready. It's going to be a whole beat up going on.
Yeah, they might. Yeah, I think the Saints are going to take it out on Minnesota, because I think they're really going to feel like they should have won that game against the Chiefs yesterday. And I think Brees is going to be much better. And I don't think Mike Thomas is going to be able to. They may sit him out to the playoffs. That's probably what they're going to do. So I think the Saints are going to win it, pretty handily. All right, Saturday games, triple header here. First off, you got the Bucks and the Lions.
Ain't no magic in Detroit. Tom Brady on the road. Ain't no magic. Maybe it might be Matt Stafford on his way out, which he shouldn't be, but they might dump him, but he shouldn't be. I would take him. I still think he got game left.
I'm going with Tampa.
Tampa, same thing here. All right, and a tree one here now. A special note here. This is actually only going to be streamed on Amazon Prime this next game, which is kind of silly, but it is what it is. In NFC West, you got the 49ers and the Cardinals.
I know the Bears are chasing the Cardinals, but I trust Arizona will get a win here, so I'm going with Arizona.
Me too, because I've been riding Arizona all year. I can't quit on them now, especially after San Francisco just let me down. Stop it. No.
Fight.
Yeah, look, San Francisco's still shorthanded. I think they were worn out. They'll probably be worn out, especially since technically this is going to be like a home and home since they're playing in Arizona, got to play in Arizona anyway. So, but I think Arizona will just enough. They know they got to keep winning, to get that playoff spot. So I've been riding Arizona all year. I'm going to keep doing it, Arizona, but in a close one. All right, the Saturday night tilt here. You got the Dolphins and the Las Vegas Raiders. I actually got it right. Yay!
Yeah.
I'm going with the Dolphins. I don't know if Derek Carr is going to play or not.
And I got to agree with you, Sid, because I've given up on the Raiders. They let me down too many times.
I want Baltimore to get in, so I need the Dolphins to lose one of these next 2 games. I'm going to pick the Raiders. Mariota looked really good. And look, the Raiders actually still have a shot, although a very long shot, but they still have a shot. They know they gotta keep winning. So I think the Raiders somehow pull off the upsets. Oh, it's going to be close, but I think they're going to pull off the upsets. All right. First of our Sunday slate, you got the Panthers and Washington.
I'm going with Washington, even though they don't have a quarterback or whoever's quarterbacking, because I believe that the Washington defense can stop whatever Carolina's attempting to do on offense.
Yeah, I'm going with Washington as well. Even though Carolina does not play like their record, is going to be a close and tough game, but I'm going with Washington. They got the division title in sight.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those slug it out, type games. So I'm also going to pick Washington. All right. Okay, a good one here on CBS. You got the Colts and the Steelers.
I'm going with Pittsburgh.
I don't see it. They've been playing like a JV team. But I'm going to take them. I'm going to take the Steelers because they got the better coach, I'm going to say.
Gosh, this is going to be a tough one, but I'm gonna, I'll pick Pittsburgh. If it was in Indy, I'll probably pick Indy, but since it's gonna be in Pittsburgh, I'll go ahead and pick the Steelers.
and because they lost so many and they need it, that's another reason I went with Pittsburgh too, Lakeena. So I feel you.
Yep. All right, Falcons and Chiefs. Next up.
You right.
Yeah, exactly. All Kansas City. Next.
Next. All right. Look, we're all gonna pick the Chiefs. I'm sure.
You know what? If Atlanta win this game, I promise you, the NFL is fixed. That's all I'm gonna say. Ain't no any given Sunday. You cannot tell me that Falcon defense can hold off 31 trick plays in a game. No. Ain't no any given Sunday this week. No.
Probably another example here. You got the Bengals and the Texans.
Houston.
I'm going with Houston.
I'll say Houston too. I mean, the Bengals, they don't have a quarterback right now. So, all right, Giants and Ravens.
Oh, we didn't get Lamont's pick.
Oh, Lamont.
I said Houston.
No, he said Houston.
Okay.
He said Houston.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Giants and Ravens.
Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore. Yeah, easily. All right. I mean, okay, an intriguing one here. You got the Browns and the Jets.
Lightning don't strike twice. That's all I'm going to say. The Jets, and especially now, watch they play like they don't have a reason to win. Now they going to do it. I'm taking Cleveland, man. That's crazy. I'm still upset at them from last week.
Yeah, Cleveland has to go back to New York again. It won't be a problem. They'll probably end up staying there through the holiday. But I'm going with the Browns.
Yeah, I think that's probably
Baker Mayfield for MVP now too. People talking like Baker Mayfield is the greatest thing since they saying he better than Josh Allen. Stop playing. I don't know what's wrong with these people, man.
I would kind of slow down on that talk, but yeah, I think the Browns they got this. I mean,
Yeah.
unless the Jets somehow, pull the other rabbit out of their hats, but
But you seen them. You see the comments that the coach and the quarterback had from the Jets, like, we play to win. We play to win.
Oh yeah, look, don't be surprised. I would be surprised though if somehow they just pull it off. Not saying they will, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I would. I'm quite sure the owner came downstairs and said, if y'all win another game, it's gonna be problems and repercussions in this locker room. So no, they counting on Jacksonville to beat the Bears right now. That's what they counting on.
All right, a battle of the 5 and 9 teams. You got the Broncos and the Chargers.
Denver.
Where that game at?
Los Angeles.
I'm going with the rookie. I'm going with the quarterback over there with the Chargers.
I pick the Chargers too. I just for some reason I mean they're actually playing better now. So I'm
He need his job.
Yeah.
He's coaching for his job. So
Yeah.
I'm going with the Chargers.
Oh yeah, me too. All right, NFC East here, Eagles and Cowboys.
Boy, if you are Fox, you're not sending Joe Buck and Troy Aikman to this game, given how both teams are bad this year. With that being said, I'm going with Philadelphia.
Where you gonna send them to? Who else playing on Fox this week? Where you gonna send them to?
We'll send them to the next game that Lakeena is going to preview in just a second.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So and where that get? That's in Dallas.
Yep.
Yes.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna roll it down. I'm going with Philly.
I pick Philly too.
I'm going with Hurts. I'm going with Hurts, showing them that he's an NFL quarterback.
I'll pick Philly too. I mean, look, they needed to sort of stay, within the grasp of Washington. So yeah, I think Dallas still has an outside shot too. So this is basically the elimination, playoff elimination game. So I would pick the Eagles because I think there's a little bit better. Yeah. All right, this is probably to answer your question, Lamont, this is probably where Joe, Troy, and Aaron Andrews they're going to send them to the Rams and the Seahawks. Very likely for the NFC West.
Oh, okay. I'm going. Where's that? Seattle?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm going with Seattle then because Aaron Donald gonna be mad and all, but I'm going with Seattle at home in the rain.
Call me crazy, but I'm going with the Rams.
You're not crazy. You just made a bad pick. That's all.
Well, I guess I'm gonna make a bad pick too. I'm gonna pick the Rams too. I mean, look, they got the better of them in their first meeting a couple of weeks ago. They gave you they got the format how to slow down Russell Wilson. Aaron Donald is not gonna be in a very good mood after what happened. They're not gonna. The team as a whole will probably not be in a very good mood either. So they're gonna take it out on the Seahawks. And look, there are no fans there, so they don't have to deal with the fans. So that helps them too. So I'm going to pick the Rams. Should be a good.
While you on Seattle, did you see that post-game celebration from
Jamal Adams? Yeah. I don't blame him for being excited. Look, I don't blame him. I mean, this is going to be his first time in the playoffs. So.
But the exciting part ain't when I'm laughing. I'm laughing at the part where he said, "By now, I've been to send my cars home."
Golf courses and going off to the islands or something. So Nelsie said.
We messed up his holiday, huh?
Oh, but I'm sure he's happy to do it too. Another good one here in the Sunday nighter. You got the Titans and the Packers.
I'm going with Green Bay.
It's in Tennessee or Green Bay?
Green Bay.
Lambeau.
You know what? I don't think they can stop Derrick Henry. And since Tennessee leads the league in points, they can keep up with Aaron Rodgers. I am going with the Tennessee Titans to go to Lambeau and win that game.
If this was in Tennessee, I probably would give it to the Titans, but this is going to be a very high-scoring game. Don't be surprised. This is a 38-35 or 35-32. is going to be up there, and I'm sure NBC is going to be very happy about that. So, but I'm going to pick the Packers too. I think they've got a lot more to play for. They're trying to get the number 1 seed in the NFC, so I'm going to pick the Packers.
What's the over-under on that game?
I don't think they haven't released it yet.
I got to be about 55, 60 though.
We'll take the over, I guess. Take the over. All right, Monday nights. Now, this was a couple years ago, that I probably would be, if you're ESPN, you're probably be happy about this one, but you're probably not this time around. Bills and Patriots.
Buffalo. Even though I think even though I think Bill Belichick will have his guys competing hard, I'm going with Buffalo.
Yeah, it's just he gonna have them competing hard. He just don't have nothing out there to compete with. So I'm going with Buffalo too. It's just the Patriots of all these years have got away with what they got away with, and that's why they don't have a deep roster, and that's what they're suffering from now. But Buffalo should be.
Lamont, here's the answer to your question with that Tennessee Green Bay game. As of right now, the over and under is 55.5.
35, 30, yeah, it'll go over.
So you're picking the over?
You picking the over?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over.
Okay.
All right, cool. I picked the Bills here. They're trying to get that number 2 seed. They may have an outside shot at the number 1, so they got to keep winning. They don't have, Patriots don't have a defense, so I'm picking Buffalo, and Josh Allen will probably have another one, 340 for like 3 or 4 touchdowns or something.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least, Bears and Jags.
We are the Bears, shuffling crew. Shuffling on down.
Stop it. Stop it. I'm going with the Bears.
I'm the clumsy QB known as Mitch. When I throw the ball, it lands in the ditch.
Oh, my God. Oh, God. Really? Alrighty then.
No, but no, I'm going to go with the Bears falling their way into a victory and then celebrating that Green Bay probably may lose to Tennessee. So, yeah, the Bears going to be feeling good about that last game.
Well, yeah, if that is a bid for them to get the number 1 seed, you probably don't want that. So, but that's a whole other thing. So I'm gonna pick the Bears too. They should win this game. They should win this game easily. Will they though? That's a whole nother story.
That's too much like right. If they do it easy, that's too much like right. That's not, that's not cool if they do it easy. So I don't expect, if they win it, I'm thinking like 17-14 or something like that. They're not going to dominate.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
I'm already like calling it. I'm like, it's going to be a lot closer.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust them at all. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 21-20 or something at the most.
Okay. And look, I would be surprised if the Giants somehow pull it off. I'm not, like I said, I'm not putting out in the universe, but
I think this is the first time I picked them in like 4 weeks. I ain't picked the Bears in like 4 weeks. So, yeah. They should win it, though. All
right. So those are Week 15 picks here on Second City Sports Zoom style, along with Lamont Scott and Cindy Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee. We're going to go to the college gridiron now. A very busy championship weekend. All right, guys, what are your synopsis?
I'll go first. Congratulations to Northwestern, even though they lost in the close one, like we told you guys on Friday in our last podcast. They did better than they did 2 years ago when they lost to Ohio State. We all know Northwestern, when they need some new recruits to bolster up their offense for next season. We'll get into that as the weeks and days come ahead. But give Northwestern credit in that Big Ten title game. They hung in there with Ohio State. When was the last time an Ohio State team with that type of talent gets shut out of the first half in terms of not scoring a touchdown? Can someone tell me? I don't think so. So we all knew that Northwestern's strength is their defense. Their offense, it actually looked pretty good in the first 2.5, 3 quarters, but their quarterback, Ramsey, started to turn the ball over, and Ohio State finally converted one of those turnovers into points And that's what basically happened. So congrats to Ohio State. Congrats to Northwestern. They had a very good year getting to the Big Ten title game. So congratulations to both those schools. Now, the other conference championship games, as I wished on one part, Clemson whipped that ass of Notre Dame 34-10. Trevor Lawrence was the difference, 322 yards and 2 touchdown passes. But Notre Dame somehow got into that college football playoff. We'll talk about that in a second. Alabama, I thought that game would be a blowout, but it turned out to be a competitive game with Florida in the SEC championship game. Alabama gets by 52-46. And also, too, Texas A&M, they get by Tennessee 34-13. Oklahoma, they had to hold off a late rally with Iowa State to win the Big 12 title game 27-21. And Cincinnati gets by Tulsa in the AAC championship game 27-24. Maybe you could have made an argument, Lakeena, between Oklahoma or maybe Cincinnati replacing Notre Dame in that college football playoff. I know Notre Dame's good for business. I get that, but they really didn't deserve it. Sorry.
Yeah, you'll get an argument for me. Go ahead, Lamont.
I can glide right into what he's saying. Yes, they don't. I mean, but it's not so much as them. And like you said, we'll get into those in a second. But the games that back to your Northwestern thing, I didn't want to interrupt you when you were saying it. You said that they hope to get back to roots. It seems like football players don't go to Northwestern, though. You know what I'm saying? Even though they finish, it's like they have a good year every 10 years. So a lot of football players don't go to Northwestern. And, you know, we produce doctors and lawyers up out of there. So, but I think more needs to go. And with that game, the performance that boy put on in that game, the Trey Sermon guy, what he had, like 3 football fields?
Kind of, yeah.
The man ran for football fields. And so when you do stuff like that, and then you look at what Alabama did with them boys, with that Smith boy and that Jones kid, you got and we don't even talk about the running back.
Najee Harris, yeah.
He had a good game too.
They got 3 Heisman people on one offense. So that brings me back to Notre Dame making that college playoff. If Texas A&M only loss is to the greatest team walking, how you gonna bump them when they done ran through the SEC themselves? I mean, the only team higher as them in the SEC is LSU. Woo! Because they got a quarterback now. But yeah, it's not right. So, you know, some of the stuff not right. And a couple of other, you know, teams that kind of got their head stubbed or overlooked. You mentioned the Indianas and the Coastal Carolinas and, you know, and the Cincinnati. Cincinnati played in some of the worst weather on TV the other night, but they played. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I mean that a lot of that got to be worked out. But at the same time, I was impressed with that Ohio State boy. He did his thing. He did his thing out of nowhere. Like where has he been all year?
He's been there, yeah. He's been there, but I think the good news is that thankfully Sermon was there to kind of pick up the slack because you can tell Justin Fields was a little bit banged up. The most yards rushing in the Big Ten title game. I mean, 331 yards. I mean, my God, that's absurd, you know, for Ohio State. It's great, you know, great record that Ohio State has. So look, you give, you know, Northwestern for keeping it close and staying with them, but we thought that talent would win out with Ohio State. So, and that's what happened. Oregon, not bad for an Oregon team that just found out they were going to play the Big 12 title game, the Pac-12 title game, I should say. About this time. This is about this time when they found out that they were gonna play SC. Look, Trey showed that, you know, 2 touchdown passes. I mean, look, you know, Mario Cristobal has done wonders with that Oregon program. Tyler Shue, you know, 2 touchdowns. Anthony Brown also had 2 touchdown passes as well. You know, their defense actually did what they needed to do to kind of slow the Trojans down. You know, the Trojans, you know, Clean Silvers unfortunately picked the wrong day to have his worst game of the season, 3 interceptions. That's not going to win you championships. And this is why I think a lot of people were not high on USC early on, when they started late. So unfortunately, that's what happened there in that game, that Pac-12 title game, which is actually very entertaining as it usually is. Oklahoma almost did what they did earlier this season. It's Iowa State. They had a big lead. They almost, gave it back. But you know what? Their defense, which has played better, they did what they needed to do. This is like their sixth or seventh, Big 12 championship in a row. Not in a row, but overall since it became the Big 12. So congrats to Lincoln Riley and the OU and Spencer Rattler. I mean, this is a guy he'll probably he'll be right there next year. So good for him. Clemson. I mean, look, Sid, we called this, right? I mean, we figured that this was going to be sure enough, it was. Look, Trevor Lawrence showed you that
this was too easy to pick.
It was way too easy. So, I mean, look, good for Clemson. This is like the third time they have 10 plus wins in a season, tying joining Florida State, which did it back in the mid 2000s, going into late 2000s, and also 2010s, I should say, and also Alabama. So they joined an exclusive club there. Cincinnati, like you said, Lamont, that was bad weather. But look, Desmond Ridder did just enough to win. The defense, Tulsa got a pretty good defense themselves, but Cincinnati did just enough to win that game. Also, shout out to San Jose State for winning their first ever Mountain West championship. Brent Brennan said that, look, we're gonna make him into a comparable program when he took over a couple of years ago. He's done just that. This is a team that actually got kicked out of their own campus because the county they play in couldn't play their home games, so they had to go to Vegas.
Yeah,
undefeated. So good for them. You commend the Spartans of San Jose State and their first ever Mountain West title, beating Boise State, which was the king of that conference.
Yeah.
Also Alabama too, of course. Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Mac Jones. I mean, they'll probably end up having this. They'll probably split Heisman votes. So, and Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence will probably end up winning it because of that. So, but look, we saw all the records that Najee Harris.
They should have Heisman in Alabama. They should have a Heisman thing in Alabama. That way they ain't got to expose people to a lot of stuff. Since 3 of the people gonna be there already, they just bring in the other 2. That way they ain't got to.
They'll probably be in their dorm rooms respectively. Harris, all-time leading rusher for Alabama history, and there's been a lot of great running backs. Broken Sean Alexander's record, set the school record for career rushing yards, career TDs. Tied the SEC championship record with 5 touchdowns. Tied the school record for TDs in a game. Ugh.
Yeah. What more can he do before he go, pro? But question I want to ask you with that game: do you think Florida's quarterback is an NFL quarterback?
Look. I need to see more of him. But look, Kyle Trask, who you're talking about, he looked good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Sid? I mean, he's looked good. I mean, he really didn't make any mistakes. It's just that Alabama is better than so much better than him.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just looking at the SEC title game, we talked about this in our last podcast on Friday. Like, I didn't think Florida would show up because of their loss to LSU, but they gave it a good fight. Their quarterback actually had a good game, but Alabama just had too much talent for Florida.
Lamont?
Yeah,
that's what I said. Alabama is Kansas City. No matter what you was throwing at them, that was just a talent overweight. And I heard some people speaking on one of the shows about it. I think they need to do a little something about that recruiting thing, where a team like Alabama will take 5 and 6 corners and 5 or 6 receivers to keep them from going to other schools in the SEC, even though they may not ever use these gentlemen on their team or on their field. But I think, they need to do some readjusting when it comes to that talent overflow.
Yeah.
And a team like Northwestern can benefit from that, because you got to give Northwestern credit earlier, Sid. Anytime a guy run for 331 yards and they still in the game, that means they had to be playing really hard.
Yeah.
To be in the game,
of course.
When a guy ran 3 football fields on you. So, and even with Najee Harris scoring 5 touchdowns, how does that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, need to work on that part of it. So,
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe when I'm talking to a lot more SEC people, I can fuss more. say, look, I can say the Big Ten is competitive, and the Big Ten is close because they recruit as a family. And then the coach still get fired in Illinois, but they still a family, And congratulations to the new Illinois coach, by the way, also.
Yeah, I'll just get ready to get to that as we have just a couple minutes left. Lakeena, I'll start with you. Of course, they announced this, the final line announced this move prior to their loss against Penn State on the road. We all know that Lovey was a PR hire. Congratulations on them getting to a bowl game last year, but Lovey was not the answer to their long-term success. Hopefully, this new coach, he coached in Arkansas for the last few years. Can he recruit, first of all, staying in the state of Illinois?
Yeah.
Oh, look, Bret Beilema has a history of recruiting Illinois. He's from Illinois. That's how he was able to kind of make Wisconsin a consistent contender in the Big Ten, was because he was able to recruit a lot of the area, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, those guys. I mean, Josh Whitman, who's the AD over in Illinois, I mean, he likes named guys. Lovie Smith was a named guy. Bret Beilema, a named guy.
Yeah.
So this is more of a name. I mean, will it get a lot of the top players here in this state to go to to stay in state and go to Illinois? We'll see. But I know his Arkansas record is not very good. It was like 18 and 40 or something like that, or maybe it was 12 and 40. I would think I was being a little generous with his record, but I'll look it up. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, I know he was over at the New York Giants and their O-line coach, but he played in the Big Ten, at Iowa. He has coached in the Big Ten for years. We'll see if he still got the charms to recruit here in the Midwest.
But I think being down there with Arkansas, it gave him another place to recruit. I think that's what's happening with Indiana also right now. Having that coach that comes with that Florida background, I think teams in the Big Ten need that extension to get some of those Southern players up here. So I think he may get a few, gems from, the Southern states to go along with all of his Midwest recruiting. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I'm going to still ride with him, blue and orange till the world blow up.
And speaking of recruiting, real quick, Lamont, I think you brought this up a couple of weeks ago. Deion Sanders has another recruit now at Jackson State. Hopefully, do you think that this will get these HBCUs, especially the football programs, back to at least respectability?
Yeah, and not only that, I think each HBCU, and coming from one myself, go Jaguars, I go, but I think each HBCU will now attempt to bring in a name, so to speak. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Rice started doing more with Mississippi Valley State. You look at Doug Williams when he went back to Grambling. I wish he could go now where it could be a name, but by not being a lot of HBC players in the NFL, a lot of them are older now. A lot of them can come back and maybe take over coaching jobs, but it's a lot of untapped talent that never gets seen because they play in the HBCU. So I think having names like Deion, and I think Deion has brung on his coaching staff, who he got T.O., and he got a whole bunch of his friends. And I think that's what it will take to, influx that talent into the NFL. And you look at who wouldn't want to learn from Deion Sanders if you want to make it to the NFL as a cornerback. Who wouldn't want to learn from a T.O. if you want to make it as a wide receiver? Now, once they get that linebacker in that played umpteen years in the NFL, the coach, or that linebacker that had a connection with the NFL, and you got these people, plus you're looking at, if you're a high school student, you're looking at not only can I learn from Hall of Famers, but they still got NFL connections. So, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I think it's going to be a good thing. And I can't wait for it to get started. I'm supposed to be going to the Bayou Classic. So we will see when Southern plays Grambling. They moved it to Shreveport. But, we will see what happens with that.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, look, I think having Deion there, can only help the buzz because they need it in those conferences in the SWAC and the MEAC. So I mean, I think money-wise has been an issue. For the finances, the facilities are outdated. So maybe having Dion there can only help with the buzz. Will it mean that more players will stay, in the region and go to one of those HBCUs? We'll see. But I'm fascinated by this.
Because when you look at it, you throw names like out of Valley State, you got Jerry Rice, maybe the greatest of all time. You throw at Jackson State like Walter Payton, maybe the greatest of all time. When you throw names like out there, I think you need to
don't forget Mel Blount.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to him next. No, I wasn't going to leave him out.
He helped change the rules in the NFL.
Yeah.
And when you throw stuff like that, I think it comes with education also. I think, you need somebody to connect the past to the youth and to show them that you can do it going this route and you don't have to go sit on the bench at Alabama or go sit on the bench at Oklahoma or places like that. Because a lot of these players go to these schools and they never get to play, and then they transfer to another school and you hear about them, which is, I'm happy they waiving that transfer rule in a lot of these schools that sit out rule right now. So a lot of these players can move right now and get, right in and get to do things, because I think it's a lot of good players sitting on the bench on these teams in the SEC. Even at like schools like Ole Miss and, Mississippi State, they got some players sitting on these benches that other teams have just taken to keep them from going to other teams. So, it remains to be seen, but I'm definitely happy for it. And maybe more TV exposure, because that one game a year on TV bothering me. I've been saying that for 10 years. They show the Bayou Classic. That's it. They don't show nothing else.
That's how I remember as a kid too, watching the only time they get national exposure, they were on Thanksgiving weekend on NBC. Now they've been on NBC as in the cable channel for the last few years. So hopefully ESPN's not sticking them on ESPN 3 or ESPN Plus, put them on ESPN 2 or ESPNU, where people can watch it at a reasonable time if you want to do the tape delay thing.
I'm sorry, Lakeena, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Don't finish your point.
They've been putting them on the ESPN internet. Like last year, they would put them on the ESPN internet station where you don't get an announcer, but you just get the game and you can hear the in-game. So that's the station they was on all of last year. But we gonna see.
And the good news is in the last 3 years, I mean, they actually the bowl game, the Celebration Bowl between the champion of the SWAC and the champion of the MEAC, they face each other. That game's actually been on ABC the last 3 years, so that's actually helped a little bit. Now, unfortunately, they canceled it this year, but I mean, look, I think they're doing better. This is kind of the MEAC, SWAC challenge. So, wow.
And we got to do better with our Chicago Classic game too. We can't keep bringing in basketball schools to play a football game at Soldier Field. I'm just saying, when it starts back, we can't just run a basketball. We've been running basketball schools for the last 5 years, pretty much. We run and football, not to disrespect their football teams in any kind of way, but these schools that they've been running are known because of their basketball, and then we have them in our Chicago Classic. So Chicago Classic people need to, step it up a little bit. They've had Southern, they've had Jackson State before.
Right.
So, I know they had them. So, but but change is on the horizon. 2021 will be here next week. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Lakeena, close us out.
All right, so a couple more minutes, but, how about college, college hoops really quick? Illinois lost to Rutgers, unfortunately. So
Ron Harper Jr., like he did last year against the final line out.
Yes. Rutgers is for real. They could be a sleeper in the Big Ten. I mean, look, Gonzaga beat Iowa pretty easily.
That surprised me.
It did. I mean, I thought they were going to keep it close, but I guess Gonzaga's just that much better right now. But again,
I still like Iowa, though.
Oh, yeah, I think, this is great. Also, unfortunately, Kentucky, this is like the worst start since the 1920s. They lost to North Carolina. And also, I know, right? That's how long it's been. They're 1-6 now. Oh, my gosh. Also, Northwestern upset Michigan State. That was a big.
Yeah.
Good for
No,
Chris
they're
Collins.
gonna keep it going. They're gonna keep it going. They're gonna switch it over to basketball and run the table like the football team. Yeah.
Okay. Let's slow
I mean,
down.
let's slow that down a little bit.
Slow down, Lamont. Let's slow that down. Also, Keontae Johnson, keep getting better, and because he collapsed a couple weeks ago against Florida State, he's a Florida star, the reigning SEC Player of the Year. Hopefully, we'll see him back on the court soon. So, a quick little, college hoops notes.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break here, and we're gonna have a very special. The rest of this hour is our NBA Power Hour. We're gonna have a panel of 3 great NBA bloggers and writers and folks who cover the sports. Go ahead, Sid.
Also, we have a surprise analyst joining our panel too.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
We love surprises.
Oh, look, he surprised me on Friday. So let's see what other surprises Sid has.
You know what? I missed that. I missed that. Because I was looking for your old gym teacher, remember? I missed it. Who did he surprise you with?
Oh, I think you had him as a teacher too when you were at IMS. Eric Ostrowski?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I did.
You can check out that podcast on War on Media. So there you go. So we'll be back. We'll be back for our NBA Power Hour on Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom
Zoom style.